When you're just getting started in the creative industry, you're gonna get a lot of advice. People you know, people online, people who have been in the game for a little bit, people who have been in the game for a lot of bit are all willing to share their advice with you. And these are 5 pieces of advice that I wish I had never listened to when I started out my creative career. The first piece of advice that you'll get a lot of is that you need to go to design school. You need to go to this boot camp. You should have a degree. You should go to this training. You should take this course. And all of that is an absolute load of crap. I know, this is gonna be a real hot take. Some people are gonna be really, really mad, but stick around. Design school is great. Courses are great. Boot camps are awesome. But everybody's different, has different needs, different learning styles, and different capabilities. Maybe you're the type of person that can learn at home from YouTube videos and reading books. Maybe you're the type of person that does need to take a boot camp or does need to go to school. But I'll tell you right now, hands down, not everybody needs to go to design school, especially design school or university where you get a 4-year degree in design. You don't need to do that. There are so much information that is freely and widely available out there. And if you just have the grit and determination and desire to actively pursue it, you can 110% learn how to be a designer. Now, again, to reiterate, everybody is different, and maybe you are that type of person that needs that college experience or needs that discipline of a boot camp. But maybe you're the type of person that has great discipline on your own. You are a self-starter. You are a go-getter. You do watch YouTube channels like this one and lots of other ones. You do go to the library for $3 a month and read books on design, and you can learn an absolute ton. You might even be the person that bypasses all of those things, opens up a free design tool, and just starts jamming. Good for you. You don't need to go to design school. The next piece of advice that I got when I was starting out my creative career was that you had to have a website, a .com domain with your name in it. You must spend the hours creating and designing and making your portfolio on your website absolutely perfect, and that is a bunch of hooey. Sure, there's a level of professionalism. It's a nicety to have a yourname.com or .design or .org. Do we still do .nets? Is that a thing? Like I said, sure, it's nice, but it's not necessary. If you are starting out in the creative industry, don't spend tons of hours, tons of your time, your resources in creating a website that is a whole skill set and something you may not need to learn right now. You may just need to find a place where you can host your work and get that work out there and show that work to possible clients or possible hiring managers or people who are looking to hire you, or maybe just get feedback on your designs. Dribbble, Behance, Instagram, Twitter, all of these are great places to start putting up your work and getting feedback. I think that you can do a lot. I've hired people off of Dribbble and off of Behance. I have found people to hire to do work for me off of Twitter, off of Instagram. People have found me off of those platforms. And you don't need to have this big, massive .com that's built in WordPress or Squarespace. You spent countless hours and now you're fighting the system to make it work and look the way that you want it to. Forget all of that. Start a simple account on one of these platforms, host your work, get feedback, grow fast, fail forward, and get your work out there. The next piece of advice that is a complete lie is something I heard a lot of early on when I was starting my career. And that's that every creative should be using an Apple computer. Don't you know that Apples are made for creatives and PCs are not? That is absolute junk. I recently did a video on PCs or Macs for creatives, and in that video I discuss all the reasons why you and me might want to use a PC for your creative work. I use both. I love both. But I'll tell you right now, if you're just starting out in the creative industry, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have any clients, you don't have a reason to go out and buy a $3,200 MacBook Pro. You might just need to use what you have, and if that's a PC or a Linux system or an iPad, you go get you some. You do what you have to do with what's available to you right now. Quick side note and a hot take, anybody who's giving you these you must, you have to, you absolutely have to do X, Y, and Z type of advice, they're usually insecure and they're making themselves feel better by the choices they've made. Don't get mad at me, I'm just saying what I think. Here is bad advice number 4 for the day. Hustling is healthy. As creatives, there's a spirit of hustle culture that has taken over the industry. where everybody has a regular job and a side hustle and a side hustle and a podcast and a YouTube channel and has 75 million things going on, and you are now all of a sudden working 19-hour days because you're creative and you need to grow. That is an absolute lie. Resting is for the wise. Wise people know that you can't burn yourself out, that you can't put food in the oven and cook it at twice the temperature and get it at half the speed. Some things just take time. And so if you're on your way to getting that 10,000 hours of mastery that you need as a creative, then you need to spend the time, and that time is okay. If you want to put in a little bit extra time here or there, that's fine, but hustling and grinding till you grind the wheels down and you die an early death because of your creative hustle, that's a bad idea. Don't listen to that advice. And the last piece of advice that I'll share for the day that I received over and over and over, that's really, really bad advice in the end, is that you must work for other people before you could even consider going freelance and working for yourself. Total lie, not true. If you want to be a freelancer, there are methods, there are techniques, there are strategies for you to be a freelancer, to land clients, to find clients. It's just a different pathway. You don't need to go do X, Y, and Z to be over here figuring out A, B, and C. It's a different vibe. They share the same vehicle, which is creativity. You're gonna wanna have some skills, obviously, but again, back to point number one, you don't need to go to school for that. You don't need to have some sort of qualification for that. If you are gung-ho, you've realized you wanna work freelance, you better get on that freelance path. You better figure out that path. You might need to moonlight for a little bit. You might need to figure things out and make yourself a runway of income so that you can launch into your freelancing career. But don't feel like for a moment you must go work at some other company for X amount of years to learn the things you need. No. You're gonna get comfortable with where you're at. You're not gonna wanna leave. That security is gonna be too enticing to you. If you wanna live a freelance life that sometimes can be a little bit feast or famine, sometimes can be a little bit exciting, it's always gonna be dependent on you. If you say, that sounds great to me, you better go for that thing. And you better not spend your time wasting your time on things that are not that dream or that direction you wanna go. I know, woo! Those were some hot takes and some spicy things to be said. I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments. Speaking of your comments and your thoughts about everything that I've just said, let me know if you enjoyed the video by leaving a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. I do lots of videos about design and development and career stuff just like this one, so hit the little bell notification icon so you know when more videos like this one come out. That's just 5 pieces of bad advice that I got really on. There's a slew of other bad advice. The overarching theme of this bad advice is that anytime somebody tries to box you in and tell you there's only one way of doing things, they don't know what they're talking about. And they're usually speaking from a place of insecurity, fear, or just their own limitations. Don't let people box in your creativity. Do your thing, grow, fail forward, fail fast, and do what you want to do. See you in the next one.